we are talking about compositing. So there's many things that are amazing to do with compositing. Some things are more complex than others, but one thing that's very cool is putting lights on your scene. So the lights can be useful for like ocean shots, underwater, or maybe in a cave you have like some sunlight, or just a background like this where you want to put some dramatic sunlight. So today what we're gonna learn is how to make sun rays, or light rays, or rays of light. So I'm gonna teach you one way to do it, but of course there's many other ways to do it. So for this method, usually you will need a shape, you will need the light source, which is usually a turbulent noise node, and then you need to treat that light. So with blendings, glow nodes, highlight nodes, this depends. Alright, so what you put in those boxes, by the way, this is just a background, it could be anything. So what you put in these boxes can vary, but you kind of need these three boxes. Like you need a shape, you need a light, and you need to treat that light. Alright, so what goes in the box may differ, but you do need these three elements. So that's what my tutorials will mostly be, because I cannot show you the 1,000 ways to make sun rays. But I cannot show you the 1,000 ways to make sun rays. I'm going to show you one, and then if you want to elaborate and explore, be my guest. Okay, so here, just to show you what I have, I am still using my amazing friend MLS's background, because it's gorgeous, and I just felt it could have some little sun rays there. Alright, so my sun rays are made with my turbulent noise, so I can use a quad map to move angle of the turbulence around. So that's what I use it for. And then my shape is actually a gradient. So if I go here and I move my gradients points, I will see more or less of my lights. And then my treatment is very simple. I just used a Grayscale Node to convert this as a map. Then I make it go through a matte blur to give it this yellow color. And then I make it go through a blending node set to add legacy, because I like that. You know, if you don't know these very well, you can just go here and, you know, go down and just look at the difference. Alright, so now I'm gonna destroy this and we will reconstruct it together. So first we need a shape. So this is where your lights will appear. So the order in which you do this doesn't really matter. I usually start with the shape, then I go get my lights, and then I treat my light. Right, so for my shape, if I need to draw a shape, I'll get a drawing node, of course, and just connect it and just draw my shape. But usually I'm too lazy for that. So I'm just gonna go get a gradient node. So gradient, put it here, and connect it to my composite, and I have this gradient. Then if I want to move how my gradient looks, I can go to the show control button, press here, then I get these little controller. If you want to move them, you use the transform tool, and then you can move them. So the way that this works usually is that the white is going to be where your lights will be, and the black is where they will not be. So I'm just going to invert this like this. You don't need to be super precise because you're going to play with this after anyway, so I'm just going to put my white on top and the black on the bottom. But then for now, if I try to composite this, even if I put a matte blur on it, it will just turn my whole thing one color. So you do need to use a Grayscale node. And what the Grayscale node will do, I'm going to show you in render. Here I have just my gradient there with two solid colors, black and white. And if I put my Grayscale here and I set it to matte output, if I insert it here, now my gradient, the black will disappear and the white will be opaque. Okay, you could get a similar effect if you were to, instead of using black and white, you could use just white, and then here it could be a white that you set to transparent. That could also work. It just depends on the look that you want. You can do both. Typically I'm just lazy, so I use my gradient, I put a grayscale on it, and then I have my mask. So this is going to be the shape where my lights are going to be. So then we're going to leave this to rest and wait. And we're going to go take care of our lights. So I'm going to press enter, get my turbulence noise. It's really important that it's the noise, because the noise creates your light. The turbulence node, the dark blue one, this is to like transform something, so that's not what we want. We want the turbulence noise. I'm going to connect it here so that I see it. But then I will not be in render view. I'm going to go back to OpenGL. But just so you know, in OpenGL view, you will not see a turbulent noise. You need to render it. And I think that rendering is too long. So usually what I do is I press on this triangle. I'm going to make this bigger by clicking on the top right triangle here. And then this is basically going to give you the render view. So I'm going to also go here, press on it, and make it a bit of a higher quality. Don't forget to shrink it and put it back to 64 after, because this does make your scene a bit heavier, but for now it's fine. Then I go into the node. I will not explain how it works in detail because this is not the goal of the tutorial. But if you want to make sun rays with a turbulent noise, pretty easy. You go in frequency, and in frequency, if you put a number, you're gonna have like grain that's happening here. So I don't want grain, I want straight lines. So all you have to do is go to separate. And then instead in my X only, I'm gonna write, for example, 10 or 20. And there you'll get vertical lines, right? But if I put 20 here, I'm gonna get squares. But I don't want squares, I want lines. All right, and then if you want to play with these settings like Perlin and like the noise type and fractal type, depending on which one you choose, it will change the look of your sun rays. So you can just experiment and play with it. I'm gonna leave mine to Perlin because it's the default and I don't care. And then that's it. I'm gonna give it a quad map because I want them to be sideways. Just get a quad map node. If you don't know how to use the quad map, I have a tutorial about it. You can just check it out. For the quad map, I'm gonna make it a little bit like this. You can always adjust it later, it's fine. I just want to show you that it shows in your node view. And then what we need to do is cut the turbulent noise by the gradient. So what do we need? A cutter. We go here, connect it under my turbulent noise. And then since my gradient already has a grayscale, you remember in the render view, the white was opaque, the black was invisible. So that means that this is going to cut my gradient. There you go. So this means that this is going to cut my turbulent noise. I'm gonna go here, connect it like this. And now if I go into my render view, I will see my sun rays. You might need to invert it, your cutter, depending on what color you had on your gradient. So there, the top will be opaque, the bottom will be dark. And now if you want to adjust it, this is where it's fun. You can just use your quad map to move your sun rays around. And you can use the gradients show control button to show where exactly your rays are going to show up. So you can have fun playing with this. After that, what we need to do is do the treatment of the lights. So to do that, then again, I will use a Grayscale Node because I love them. So what I'm going to do with this is treat my black and white information that is here with the turbulent noise and the shape. And I'm also going to treat this as a mask. So the white is going to be what I keep and I color, and the black will go away, like what you see here. So I'm going to set my grayscale to map output again. I'm going to insert it here. And now the black disappears and all I have left is the white information. And now the white information, I'm going to make it go through a matte blur. And the matte blur is going to color my white information. So just to show you, I will turn off the background. Just to show you what it does. So now it's white. Just like that. And if I get my matte blur and I connect it here, it's still white because white is my color. By the way, you always need to be in render view when you do that. And then I'm going to go here and just give it a color. Usually you do this on top of your background to choose a color, but now I just want to show you that it changes. And this is only possible because I have my grayscale node. If I remove it, I don't get my gradient, I don't get my turbulent noise. So you do need this to work. But then after, when you have your matte blur, if I just make my background appear again, you have your color that appears there. Now all you need to do is choose the appropriate color, maybe like a warm yellow. And then usually just to finish it, I will give it a blending node. And I do like to set it to add legacy or to overlay or whatever floats your boat. And that's it. And then all you have to do is finish adjusting all your sun rays. If you know how to use a turbulent noise, the fun thing is that you can also play with the evolution to make these move in time. But speaking of time, we are out of time for today. So I'm gonna see you again next week for another video. Have fun with this technique and have a wonderful day. Bye bye! Mierda.